Greetings, my beautiful angels, my beautiful souls. I hope you're doing amazing today because we have another special guest. Her name is Katrina. And Katrina is where soul wisdom meets the cosmic wave of transformation. Katrina is an activator of divine potential, conduit of pure creation, and the architect of living light of the soul. Welcome, beautiful soul sister. How are you doing today?
I am doing so amazingly well, and it's so beautiful to feel all the hearts that are here and to just feel what's flowing in through this opportunity to come together. So much beautiful, magical, synchronistic creation energy that I'm feeling already. How beautiful. Thank you for
Mm,
having
and I can sense the energy emanation. So the first thing that comes to me is, and I'm pretty sure that's one thing that everybody would love to learn. The moment you got on camera, I felt the energy of your room. Do you set up your cocoon before you get on camera? Do you do anything specific? Because it's already there.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Part of that is living intentionally. And I feel one of our greatest purposes is to create beauty. And when we're aligning our environments, even down to like the colors on our clothes, when we're tuning in to what feels the best, what is really allowing for the truth of me to emanate, what is allowing for those that are tuning in here to be able to breathe into the space, to be able to connect with who they are. And for me, this is my intention every day of my life. So my environment, my spaces, it's so important to me that they're done in a good way because I truly, fully believe that we live by example. And when we're emanating that, when we're surrounding ourselves in that, it's so much easier to continue our past, to really live who we are. And this space right here is kind of my little cocoon corner. I actually have my fireplace right here, so it's kind of the space to drop in. And as I tuned into this time together, it felt like we were going to go a little deep. So I felt this was the great place to offer you flowers, to offer you the amethyst. I'm also Native American, so I have my rattle here and some crystals and plants, and for me honoring all of life and honoring all of life that is everyone here. And that's, I feel, one of the most beautiful things that I get to do is to see into life in that way and get to honor it, really.
Well, and I want to reiterate this because I'm sure the audience feels the energy of your space right now. First of all, sacred geometry, and that's what I was teaching in my group. The window, everything around, it's a circular built. It's not like a squarey box, right? Because we have every house, and I'm in the house right now. Everything is a square. The boxes are so constricting. Even your environment, the walls, everything is round, so it allows the flow of energy. But one thing I want to say is you created this environment, and I feel if somebody gets on a call with you to get any form of help, just breathing in that environment that you just created, that alone is healing. Like I felt so amazing just by connecting to your environment because
Thank
it does
you.
translate through video. There is no disconnect.
Oh, thank you for that. And you're right, it is. It's a dome, so it is circular, and I call it the sanctuary. There's nine or 10 altars in here, so I do a lot of interdimensional, higher dimensional, planetary work. So this is the space I do it in. So I'm actually inviting you guys into my temple by being on the call. So
You are. That feels
letting
really, really
you
special.
know.
I truly am grateful and thankful for this experience. I want to ask one question. In your childhood, when you grew up, did you ever had a vision that, hey, my life would unfold in this way that I'm going to be able to touch and help thousands and millions of people? Or were you confused for a long time and then something pivotal happened in your life and then you open up to this ability?
Wow, that is such a great question. I knew from a very young age that I was here to do something, that I would be called out to support the people. And at the age of 12, I experienced the Holy Spirit. So, what I know now is an initiation. So, at the age of 12, I began this process of understanding and reaching deeper levels of discernment. For example, my grandmother was, she raised me Pentecostal, and my childhood was very difficult. I have a very difficult childhood. I was at her impasse, we're kind of put into the darkest places, and my kind of saving grace, or the thing that kind of lit up for me, was my grandmother. And when I received this initiation, when this awoke within me, I found myself, because my grandma would always tell me, "Here, read the Bible. This is what we do." And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But once that happened, I opened this book and the words came off of the pages and started rearranging. And I started going, "Wow, you grandma, this really is, it's living." And then my whole life began to show itself. It started to appear to me from a very young age. I could always see who people were, but couldn't understand why they were acting the way they were. Like, "Why are you saying these words? Why ow, that hurts. Like, why would you do this? Like, I see who you are." So a lot of my journey was understanding boundaries and coming into a place of being able to relate with the world, being such a pure, loving, caring being. But when that occurred within me, I could speak words and people would begin to release and they would begin to see the truth within themselves. So, really early on, at the age of 12, that began to happen to me. And then I kind of felt like I was put right back into what I call the life curriculum. Went
The
through my
boot camp. I call it training boot camp.
training boot camp. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. And when we can see it that way, it makes so much more sense. And for some reason, as a child even, I could see that. I knew it as I was like, "This has to be a joke. There couldn't have been anything that I could have ever done to deserve, this life and the way things were coming." And, it was intense and painful, lots of neglect and abuse and confusion and manipulation and, just all around me. And here I am in this space going, "Okay, I know none of this is me. I'm very aware that whatever I am understanding from this, it's to help the people." And I got that from a very young age, even though it did. And there was so much healing that had to happen. So in 2012, I went through a massive transformation. And in that moment, the soul began to breathe into the body. I guess I want to backtrack a little bit. The message I got, because by this point I'd gone so deep into my curriculum, I was getting lost. I was getting confused and was picking up habits and had gone into addiction and was trying to do everything I knew to do. But it was failing and I was losing hope. And I found myself in a position where I woke up on the couch and this message came: "Hey, you've been in all these doors, you've done all of that, do what you came here for." And I couldn't deny the truth because from a young age, I knew you're here to help the people. Everything that you've traversed, all that you have felt, all of it is to help them. I didn't know how, I didn't understand any of those dynamics, but as soon as I said yes, I began to experience the Christ consciousness just overriding me and the soul braiding in. And I'm talking like almost overnight. It was happening so quickly. And I began to crystallize into my being, my cells. I started to understand what's happening on these deeper levels because all the life curriculum was presenting itself to me. And I was understanding why. Oh, okay. And then it began to form into soul wisdom. So once again, at the same thing as the age of 12, I began by just sharing messages with people. I mean, just walking around and just speaking truth to them. And from there, I began to form. I began to understand how to be here, how to speak into the air around me, how to work with the elements, how to claim spaces, how to shift environments, how to create beautiful spaces wherever I'm at. And understanding, I think the deepest, most challenging piece was being empathic, understanding how much of my own power, how much of my own being was being, drained because I didn't understand how to engage in a world that, was so heavy. So developing skills and techniques and ways to be and how to raise above, things that had challenged me and be able to integrate, the lessons of them in a very powerful way to where my eyes spoke it. So when someone showed up, they could tell, whoa, this person has experienced this and they have transcended it in such a way that I can see that within myself.
I always say, like, we go through so many things because we have to. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to relate to people and help. So when somebody comes to you with a problem, you're like, "Yep, I've been through this. I've been through this. Been through
Yep.
this. I've been through that. I got it all." Right? So
Yeah.
the more pain you go through, the more you're able to do. And I remember I asked the same question a few weeks ago to my angels, and I'm like, "Why does it feel like sometimes the world is tough? Like I've done a lot of work and I still encounter some things here and there." And they're like, well, you have to experience it all so you can learn how to fix it all. Otherwise, you wouldn't be of service to others.
It's
So
it's
they're giving me, like, even a couple of weeks ago, like I injured my knee, but it wasn't broken completely. So it's like almost they're giving me a hint to feel the pain, find the way to clear it. And now I know how to help somebody that has physical pain because I've never experienced injuring anything before. So it's almost like they're giving me a little appetizer to learn how to fix it. And then the next, and then the next.
Absolutely, and isn't that's what I love about it is that we all have this ability, right? That we can all connect into this, and in my experience, we're all designed differently. So how the energy moves through us, how we look into these situations are so unique, and I love it. And that's what I appreciate on the training grounds that I work with people, people work on, is that I get to see so many different expressions of how to
Hmm.
look in. And I love the way that your angels speak about it. We have to look into this. And for me, at the place that I'm at now, there's really no difference between the pain and the joy because I can see now because of the continuous surrendering into, what is arising and what is here to be able to appreciate, wow, this sadness right here is holding within it exactly what I need to create the next step in my life or the next opening. And so you begin to understand your own flow and your own design in a beautiful way.
Mm. And just for the audience right now, if you haven't clicked in yet, whether Katrina realizes or not, she's already shifting a lot of things within our field. Like I'm sensing it here, I'm sensing it for the collective because there's no time and space. The question I have that I'm channeling for the mothers out there that do have those children that was one of you, that was one of me, that was one of, this light workers that have that tough training for moms, for parents who have those empathic children. What would be something that you would advise them to do to help the children in their evolution?
I love this question because one of my strongest agreements is with the children. And it's so beautiful to, when I'm tuning in with the children, they tell you, they're showing you, they want to invite you back into who you are. And because life is so sometimes fast and we have so many things that need our attentions and directions, we can lose that connection with the purity that they're inviting us back into. And at the very core of all of my teachings is that power is that innocence, power is that purity. So we can, I'm a mother as well, allow ourselves to be in that space with them and invite their world into yours, rather than have it to be separate. It allows them to express and to open. And I myself, I've had visions of little children, these ancient beings in these tiny bodies walking with me, and the message over and over again. And right now, they're very loud. Like I keep
Yeah,
getting.
that's why I'm telling you this question because I feel that a lot of mothers are going to reach out to you and to help them guide them with their children. I just see that wave. That's what I was asking.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, it's very important. It's very important that we're tuning in with that because right now we're in such a transition. And as I look into, working with living light and into the coding, just seeing the shift over and how the children have that and all of the trainings, it's going through layers and layers and layers of disconnection and, reconnecting and releasing and opening to return back to that, to be able to live from there. And when you have a being that, is coming in, especially right now, so pure and bringing you information, there's always no coincidence why they chose you. and to be able to surrender into that learning, into that understanding, into that invitation to return back. So easy for me to get lost in their worlds. So a lot of times for me, it's like, okay, we got to find a balance. We're still in a shifting world. So just knowing that they're way more in tune and aware than we may think. Like they're not helpless and they're connected to source, to God, to the divine, just like we are. And the universe is also designed to take care of them. So right now I'm just feeling that release of any weight of responsibility, the ability to respond from an old place. From an old place
Mhm.
of like, oh, I have to be the one that's doing this. The truth is, we're not doing any of it, right? We're actually responding to what's truly here. And the best way to do that is from that place of innocence, from that place of connection that the children are showing us. They're showing us the way. They're bringing us back to that and reminding and awakening that within us. And that's what I see right now. The transitions that we're going through, we're being ushered, and it may even feel like push sometimes back into that way of living and being together.
Mm. If someone is at the verge of the awakening, or they do meditations, they go through these things, and they're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm so close, but I'm not really sure. Am I communicating to my guides? Am I connected to my divinity? Like, how far am I? Is there a way to gauge by the person of where they are in the evolution, or have them take a test or something that they will find out exactly where they are and what's the next step?
hmm I feel like I love this question, and I would like to just flip it a little bit and
Yes,
bring them
please.
back to this moment, like being able to identify what they feel in this moment. What is drawing their attention in this moment, and living from this place of connection. So the first thing that I would do or say to someone is to return back to your own heart. Return back to your own essence, because especially right now, because so much is shifting and changing outside of us, and everything out here has already been created. Your energy's already created this. So you don't really need, to hold on to anything out here, because it's shifting, it's morphing continuously. So when we're in tune here, where you're creating it at, where it's streaming from, then you can know the next step, the next moment, the next becoming. And I feel like when we look at ascension, when we look at evolution, a lot of times we want this idea of like, where are my steps at? Am I there yet? And the truth is it's ever going. It's continuous. And what's beautiful about it, what I have found, is if I allow my mind to go to this like, am I there yet? Then I find myself trying to prove, I find myself searching for something outside of me instead of allowing, hey, right here in this moment, I feel powerful. I feel beautiful. I feel connected. I feel that, I am one with the earth. Um, so, in guidance, I would develop the connection to the heart and the connection to the earth that is shifting with us. We have agreement with her. This body is elemental, it's one with the earth, which means that it's an agreement. The soul has an agreement with this body so that your consciousness can explore and be here in this form. And so connecting with the heart and connecting with the earth, allowing for the soul to guide in this journey in the moment, you know.
Mm.
And after so many different ways that I've taught and trained over the last 12 years, it's like this, it keeps coming back to the simplicity. The how simple can we make it? Because I can speak in code, I can speak in light language, I can speak into, creation, I can speak to the trees, and we can go many different directions, but really getting in tune with like, what is alive right now in this moment? Wow, okay, the fairies are very alive in this moment, you know
Mm.
is key. And I feel because our structures, the way this planet, the way things have been designed, are changing so quickly. And that's quite a bit of my work, is helping people develop their internal structures to honor the essence that they are. Um, that a lot of the beliefs or ideas of who we thought we were are leaving very quickly. So coming into this now, right here now, this is what I'm feeling. This is what's true. Hope I
Mm.
answered that in a good way.
Here's some truth that I would like you to channel for us. Why in the world were we given emotions?
Mm-hmm. I love this question too. So, for me, emotions are constructs and we're in agreement with them. And a lot of times we think we're a victim to them or that there's something put on us or that we picked them up from over here or over there. But what I have found and through teaching emotional mastery is that they're constructs and we can speak into them and they will speak back to us. And the thing is that it's only been a one-way thing where we're like, oh, this thing's coming over me and I have to process this all through. Like, hey, what would happen if we said, hey, sadness, I feel you, I see you, I understand you. Show me what you are. You have my attention. I understand that I agreed to be here with you in this moment. I surrender. I fully surrender. I want to feel. I want to understand. And what I find is a lot of times we want to push it out, which only makes it come stronger because it agreed. It agreed to be here with you. So, as a construct, something that we've created that we haven't, in a lot of ways, haven't, we're evolving through our emotions. And in
That
my
was going to be my next question. Like, do
yeah,
you feel that the emotions are the conduit to our spiritual evolution?
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so important that we have a relationship with them and are able to have dialogue and to honor them, just like we do everything else. I see it's how humanity is evolving is through our emotions. So the more that we can honor them, be with them. I know for myself, when I have an emotion, I am enthralled. I'm in a place of like, oh, what's opening in me? What am I getting access to? Because they're operating, in a bandwidth that allows for more opening into higher expressions of you. So they're seen as these like, oh, these emotions, I need to purge them, I need to let them go. And it's like, no, 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 hey, guess what? That emotion is actually the thing that's holding the connections to the pathways of the soul that are allowing you to be able to engage here. So I've, especially grief's a really big one lately that I've been with and witnessing. It shows you so many different perspectives. So you get to see life from all these different angles. And in that, it expands your consciousness, which is what the soul is here for, is evolution, to evolve through this body on this planet at this time. So they're powerful. They're a very powerful part of our evolution or ascension into them returning to love, returning to this pure frequency. And when we come into that understanding that, oh, I'm in agreement with you. Oh, okay. So we're dancing together. We're
Mm.
understanding life together. And one of the things that's coming through to share a tool, something that or a phrase that supported me so much is nothing lasts forever. I know that this feeling, this experience, this circumstance, it can't last forever. And I know the power of my own being to be able to transcend whatever's here. So I felt that as we were going into the emotion, someone bringing this forward. And I just want you to know nothing lasts forever. And,
Mhm.
when we're going through initiations, as I call them, when we're going into the depths of our being or underbelly, these simple phrases, it doesn't last forever. What is here? What is it showing me? What is what is it that I agreed to understand here? And being able to access that. And you
Mm.
get to decide, when you move with that or how long you remain there. So it's important to know that you're not victim to anything. And I think that's one of the most difficult for those that are empathic to overcome.
As you were saying that, I was smiling because I thought I heard this line. We say, keep your enemies closer, right? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So, in a way, we were given this gift, this emotions, right? We were going to high highs, low lows. We feel it all. And in a way, we're given this gift so we can ascend, so we can choose ourselves so we can transcend beyond that, would it be safe to assume that whatever is happening in our life, let's say conflicts, contradictions, whatever it is it safe to assume that we should zoom out and see what is the lesson on a soul level before we get involved into the 3D details?
Absolutely. One of the most beautiful things that I feel blessed that I'm able to support people with is moving out of being empathic to being multidimensional, to
Mm,
be able
whoa.
to pre-process even things before you step into them. So before you even, when you wake up in the morning, waking up in a childlike wonder, curious, like what's the ground going to feel like? What's the handle to the door going to feel like? And being able to really set with what am I feeling within myself now? Because if we create that space to do that, we can step into our day and things can show up and we've already processed them. So when I speak about moving from being empathic to being multidimensional, those that are empathic, you're designed to be multidimensional. You're designed to be able to operate here and being able to see multiple perspectives at once, being able to have access, and it's through the emotions, right? So transcending and this evolution of being one with them, understanding them, and inviting it. Instead of if you're feeling something, and a lot of times I know people don't take the time to feel what's going on in their body. But if you do that in the morning, if you're empathic, if you're sensitive, if you're intuitive, it will make your day so much easier. It'll begin to present to you, oh, that's what that was. Oh, okay, I see. Wow, how wonderful it is that I got to pre-process this. You didn't get entangled in it when you stepped into it. There is a way of operating and connecting and inviting the what I call composites or parts of the soul, the oversoul, to engage and to begin to integrate into the body. But when we do this, when we set out on this mission, what we don't know is that the very codes, this is my own experience with it, the codes are in the experience. So you absolutely get to be with these emotions, with these circumstances, in order to access, in order to align, in order to allow the soul wisdom to infuse and to be able to see my own sight. I'm a quantum seer, so it doesn't turn off for me, right? So I'm constantly seeing interdimensionally, and I love it. I appreciate it, and I know it's because of what I'm here for. And to get to see when others begin to process their emotions and be able to step into spaces, so they're seeing through clear eyes, right? They don't have anything clouding them. They don't have anything deciding it before they get there, right? They're taking responsibility for their own creation, and then you start to be given more power, more access, and then the world begins to open up in a beautiful way.
I love it. I love it. And I'm like, so as you're speaking now, I'm soaking in all the energy and I'm seeing all this transformation that is happening for our audience as well. It's so magical. It's like we're not just talking here. There's a lot happening
Yeah.
on many dimensions. And that was gonna be my question too, because a lot of times we come in as empaths and we go in through this boot camp training, right? We have a tough childhood, and somehow, some way we begin to make sense of it, then eventually we find other unicorns like ourselves that speak our language. All of a sudden, we're not alone. When you work with someone, do you go directly to the multi dimensions and begin to help them shift things on the higher realms? Or do you first step help them through their subconscious block, their human trauma?
Oh, thank you so much for this question. It's so important, this answer is. So, one of the things that I find to be the most dangerous for empaths, for intuitives, for people that do work, is that they're reading people straight across and they're going into their bodies, they're going into their emotional fields, they're going into their mental fields. And what happens is there's so much in there that doesn't even belong to the person that it convolutes. And if you're not at a level of mastery within yourself, it begins to trigger or open or create transference and it become a mess. And then it really brings up the question is this really in service? Like, are we really in service in this way? So for me, I feel blessed that I have been given a way to communicate from soul to soul, and then be given the map. So the soul bridging technology that was developed organically through my connection with the earth, massive. Oh my gosh, so many streams of energy that my body has, processed and moved through to be able to hold the structure. The modality and the way that it's formed is soul to soul. So we can scan and understand what's happening from the soul level. And then from there, we know exactly where to go. We're not guessing. We're not just looking into an aura like, oh, this is happening over here. It's like, hey, let's honor this person. Let's allow them to have their experience exactly the way it is. They're coming to me. I want to communicate with the soul. What is happening for them? How can I be in service right now? Oh, okay. There's this identity that's holding six things in place, and it's happening in the mental body, and within the emotional body, it's entangled. So these things become known, and we don't have to like have our mind like way overworked trying to figure something out because the soul has everything. So when we can develop that connection there, one, our life becomes easier because we're connected to our own. But when we're supporting others, it's clean, so much cleaner, because then we know and we're listening. We're listening to the soul, or if it is that they have certain guides or masters or things that are around them that are in support of them, or fairies or ancestors, even like whatever it is that's speaking the loudest. And of course there's levels of training, being able to discern like, is this really in support of this person, right? It's really about communicating from there, so you're not engaging, so you're not hurting your own body, you're not putting it at risk, you're not allowing for the potential of transference. And for me, more than anything, my heart, my being, I want to be in the greatest service, and to have any possibility that I could be of any harm, would be a lot for me. So cleaning as clear as I can be, and as supportive, because from that place, the soul can share what energies, how are we opening this? And we can do etheric psychic surgery and go in and look at, what's stored in the bodies, and scan through the planetary soul technology and the modality. We work with soul mapping and earth mapping and star mapping. So a lot of times the soul is like, hey, there's this very clear stream of energy that wants to come in from another galaxy that's connected to this being, and it's what's shutting them down, it's what's not allowing them to open up, but they're really holding on to this over here.
They're too
um,
focused on a story that happened 15 years ago.
yeah. And I'm like, hey, do you want to light up here?
Mm,
Not assuming that they want to even, is this what you want? If this is what you want, I can support you. I can show you the path there and open the stream and bring through the encodements or whatever is needed. But the question is, do you want that? Is that are you ready for that? You know? And then because of how long I've been in this, I can really share, this is going to bring up this emotion and this pattern, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to play out, but it has to complete, because your reality, the reason why you're not accessing what you want to access, the reason why your connections with relationships are not the way you want them to be, is because you're shut off here. So
you
there's,
don't come to the fullness of who you are. You only bring a portion of yourself.
yeah. Yeah, and then it's like it's not a right or wrong, right? It's like we're where we're at until it's time to change that, until it's time to transform that. And how do we know that? Oh, we feel the pressure, we feel the illness, we feel, we don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to make it to the body even. We do a lot of work in the etheric realms. Like I can see things, illnesses, things that are coming into the body, or potentially could if they're not addressed, if the thought form isn't addressed, or if the emotional patterning isn't addressed. um, and what's really beautiful about it all is we know our patterns, right? It's like, I'm aware that I'm doing this thing, but sometimes we need someone to say, hey, this thing that you're doing is really hurting your body.
Just stop doing it.
I mean,
No
I've learned
more.
I've learned to honor people. I'm like, okay, if this is your whole purpose is to keep living out this pattern, then I can accept that. But I'm just letting you know that it's detrimental, and
Mm,
I can see the lives that are around you that want to be touched and that are not able to reach you.
mm. For some reason, this question comes up to us for the collective, what is your understanding of selfishness, or at least the one that is so discussed widely in our system?
Selfishness, like in like a negative connotation, yeah.
In whichever way you see it, because we all
Yeah.
have a perception of that word when it comes to taking care of yourself, when it comes to
Oh,
filling
yes.
up your cup before you serve others for the empaths. So I just want to know what channels through you.
I love this one too. You're so incredibly in tune, Veronica. Because just here the last few months, I've been given even more refined levels of what could be considered selfish that doesn't always feel like my nature. It's like, how do I move through this? How do I let people know that, hey, you've actually taken more than what I can allow, or that I have to make a stand here. And for me, it comes back to being in alignment. For me, it comes back to honoring that, wow, my body is not nurtured, or I'm acknowledging that there's not a balance in energy exchange. And it's so easy for those that love so big and that are empathic and know that, oh, well, that person needs that over there, to easily just forget about our own needs and just give that out. What I'm finding in this, what I would say, this new network, this new light, this way that we're stepping into, that it's not going to allow us, it's not going to allow us to compromise ourselves in any way. So getting really clear with yourself, where am I overgiving? Where am I overcompensating? Because we are born into a world where we've had to like learn ways of being, and then we find ourselves in the ascension process where we get to unlearn those ways of being. um, where a lot of times, because we have so much love and so much energy, we can give a
Mm.
whole lot.
And
And
giving from an empty cup, that's the formula of self destruction. That's why a lot of healers burn out really fast.
and I think that also goes back to the way that they're connecting with the people. If
Mm.
you're connecting on a soul level, the soul's like, hey, this is what's going on here. And for me, it's even down to like, this is the exchange for this. This is what needs to happen here. Honoring that. Because what I find is if you're not honoring that, it shows up in so many other areas. So then you start to create blocks and things that don't need to be there when you've already designed it for yourself. So it's sabotaging for sure to not be, on some level, we can say selfish. When we look at good or bad or these two different polarized places, all of my being and teaching is to be in that neutral space of like, in this moment, what is real, what is true. Okay, I need to be selfish right now. I need to let you know. And this actually just happened to me uh,
Mm.
yesterday, day before, where I had to say, hey, there was more resources taken here than what is in balance, and I need them to be returned. And that was
Mm.
edgy for me. That was very edgy, because my whole essence, I mean, just organically, as you were presencing, it's giving, just continuously flowing in that way. So to be like, hey, this needs to be right. And because we get to that level of clarity when we're working with these emotions, when we're working with these constructs, when we're getting to know them and see the different perspectives, who are we not to speak the truth, right? Who are we not to come forward and be like, oh, this body, it's very clear that it cannot engage with that. Because if we're not doing it here, then what are we actually doing out here for others, right?
Yeah, if we can take care of ourselves, how can we truly take care of others or love others unconditionally?
Very true.
Speaking of, would you please guide us on a journey to maybe learn to create from a place of love instead of a place of fear?
Yes, that sounds wonderful. So yeah, just taking this moment to invite you back to yourself. Any place you may have let yourself be, any circumstances, situations, just really returning all of you back to you.
I have no idea how long that was. I just felt like lifetimes of light codes. got transferred, and then I saw energies connecting, just like amplifying this light all around the planet. It's very, very interesting. It will probably take a few days for me to process what just happened. I just felt like a complete restructuring of my soul's path.
Mm.
That
Mhm.
is what I sense, which is very interesting. I didn't think that was possible.
Wow. Wow.
I truly was under the impression that we have a soul's evolution. We're here, we pick up certain bodies, certain family members, everything to learn and evolve as a spirit, but to completely shift the trajectory of your soul's purpose and evolution and what are you here to do? That's very interesting. So
That's
whatever happened in this session, it will show.
that's a very important piece that you're speaking right now because so many are shifting their trajectories. That's
Yes.
what's happening right now. People that have gone one direction or been teaching or training or, showing up in a way that it's shifting. Wow. Yeah.
We spend so much time learning the system, reading all the books and all the rules and regulations, and then we begin our spiritual path, and we have to put all this work into unlearning what we just learned. And it's phenomenal. It's so quantum to be able to do a journey like this and just one journey to shift that. Because if I were to start that on a human level, that would be a lifetime of work.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
goes to show how powerful this work is. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really a gift and all of it, and to get to see what's possible over and over again for me, to see visions come to life. And yeah, it's lifetimes of things that we can transcend in the simplicity of it. That's the beauty.
It truly is simple. I was just sharing a protocol on how I do forgiveness. It's like the most simplest thing because I used to have all these elaborate methods. And so I found this one quick thing, and I'm like, it's quick, it's simple, it works. Just because it's simple, don't underestimate its power. Because most
Mhm.
things are simple. We complicate it with the power of our minds.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for this light, for your wisdom, for this journey. In conclusion, is there anything else you would like to share with our beautiful souls out there that are still looking for that light, for the hope, for the realignment, for the next step on what to do to find themselves?
The first thing that comes to me is just wanting to reach out and hug them. Just
Oh, let's do that
hold them
now.
and let them know you're not alone. What parts of you that are in fear, that are, you know, not knowing what the next step is or where to turn, or just know that we are here and we're interconnected. And it's just as simple as asking, just asking, reaching out, speaking, intervention. Support me. We're connected on a soul level and we're here together. And I feel we're going to find even more opportunities to feel each other, to understand each other, and to come together again. So that's my gift, is a massive, big, beautiful, quantum, deep reaching, all the way to the core, to the heart, to the human that you are. Letting you know you're not alone, that we feel, we see, we honor, we appreciate you for your walk, for all that you traversed. And it's truly, you're going to see what it was for. And just love, just lots of love. And love because of love.
That is so magical and it's so simple. It takes such little energy to love and simply be open than to try to constrict and protect and save and freedom really tastes good.
It does.
Does. And that is our intention for every single one of you listening, to find your way home, to find your way to your light, to your love, to your pure essence, to find your way to your own freedom because you are. Our hearts and love go to you.
Yes.